Every once in a while, you will hear a story that makes you say to yourself, there is no way that's true. Hearing facts like, if you hold in your farts long enough, the gas can be reabsorbed and come out of your mouth. Or that one point in history, turkeys were worshipped as gods. These are facts that are surprisingly true. But in the world of television, there is one show that many people still think was a myth, until they see this clip.
And hey, let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main.
That show is called Cop Rock. And yes, my friends, this was a real show. Not a parody, not a fever dream, not a glimpse into television from an alternate universe. No, you guys, this was an actual television show that lasted 11 episodes. Let me repeat that. This is a show that aired on network television. 11 episodes of dancing and singing police officers. So sit back, folks, and let me tell you the story of the showrunners who said to themselves, you know what a gritty police drama needs to elevate it to a new level? Show tunes. In this episode of Gone, but Not Forgotten. Cop Rock was created by legendary writers and producers Stephen Bochco and William M. Finkelstein. Finkelstein has had a long career in television, and is still working today. Bochco was a legend in police dramas, having created such iconic shows such as Hill Street Blues, LA Law, NYPD Blue, and one of my personal favorites, Doogie Howser, MD. The idea of Cop Rock began when a Broadway producer approached Bochco with the proposal of making a Broadway musical of Hill Street Blues. Bochco was intrigued by the concept. However, the Broadway show fell apart. But the idea of combining a musical with a cop drama was always in the back of his mind. So in 1987, ABC made the commitment to produce 10 of his future shows. Since he now had the guarantee to do anything he wanted, Bochco decided to experiment by creating a cop show musical. He then approached Bob Iger, who was the head of the network at the time, and pitched the series. Iger did not have any faith in the show, but gave the go-ahead anyway, since he had wanted a cop series from Bochco. Casting began, and 200 actors auditioned for roles on the show. Some were from Broadway, but many who were cast were actors who had no experience in musicals. After watching this show, you can tell. Many of these actors never went on to do any singing or dancing ever again. A large number of them just went on to keep working in the crime drama genre. After the casting was done, Bochco approached Randy Newman to write songs for the pilot. Yes, that's right, Bochco chose Randy freaking Newman to write songs for a police procedural musical TV show. I have to say, to have Randy Newman write songs for a musical TV show is as stupid as having him write songs for Star Wars.
Out in space, all over the place. Place is the place for Star Wars. Flying around, but there ain't no ground. Around for no Star Wars.
Randy only wrote the songs for the pilot, and after that, legendary TV composer Mike Post took over. Post has been involved in many of the past shows that have been covered on Gone But Not Forgotten. Quantum Leap, The Greatest American Hero, and The A-Team, just to name a few. Post has been working for Bochco for decades, so he was the obvious choice to be in charge of the music in the series. Post told him that Cop Rock was a stupid idea, but still worked on the series due to their friendship. But enough of that, let's get into this fever dream that was Cop Rock. The show's opening scene pretty much establishes the biggest problem, beginning with the police conducting a raid on a crack house, which winds up turning into a rap song.
What's the matter with you, son? You were told to be quiet.
He calls you son, he's not your dad, he's just a dumb white cop and you made him mad.
Punk with a badge, call himself a man. Worked all his life for his 8 or 9 grand. Look real pretty with a gun in his hand. You take it away, he's a chump.
The reason why I say this is a problem is that Bochco has no idea how a musical works. The big misconception about musicals is that they're just stories that have characters breaking out in the song. But it's not that simple. Musicals follow a formula that allow the audience to accept the concept of the reality of people breaking out into song. Rule number 1. It must have a good story. The audience must be engaged in the storyline and become emotionally attached to the characters. Sadly, Cop Rock has neither. The story of Cop Rock is about a group of police officers dealing with the standard police dramas that everyone has seen a million times before. You have the rookie cop who wants to see justice and fairness in a hard and unforgiving world. You have the serious captain who is a rule follower. In his mind, these are rules from God himself. You have the cop who breaks the rules to put criminals behind bars by lying and beating them to pay for their crimes. The storylines that run throughout this entire season are very dull. The first is a mayor who has aspirations of becoming governor. The second is about a police officer who crosses the line by killing a murderer in cold blood. Then you have the standard romantic plots that you have seen a million times before, and thus you have flimsy two-dimensional characters in boring stories. Rule number 2. The songs have to be good. They have to be something that you can hum to yourself on a long walk, or that you can sing in the shower. Basically something that will resonate with you emotionally. Even though there are a few good songs in Cop Rock, there are also some real stinkers. A large chunk of the bad songs are the ballads, as Bochco was told that the show had to have 5 original songs per episode. This was a huge problem since there were a lot of songs that you could tell were just jammed into an episode. In order to meet that commitment, they were so bad. The only one that I enjoyed was a lullaby that a junkie sings to her baby before she sells her for drugs. This song works for 2 reasons. First off was the length, and the other was that it was an emotional scene. We'll get into what I mean by emotional scene in a little bit. The length of these songs is a clear example of why Cop Rock did not work. The people who wrote the songs were songwriters who wrote for bands or artists. One of them even wrote the classic Dirty Dancing song, The Time of My Life. And this was a huge mistake. Broadway songwriters know that songs have to be a certain length. The audience will sit through a big, long musical number, but it can only be done 2 or 3 times. The rest must be relatively short. The audience will become restless if you keep doing long numbers. The exception to this is that the musical is an opera, like Jesus Christ Superstar. The viewer is already on board because they know that the play or movie will be a string of musical numbers, one right after the other. The people behind Cop Rock were treating the musical numbers as music videos, and not Broadway songs. Almost every song was 3 minutes. I found myself fast-forwarding through many of the numbers, because I was getting exhausted. They just went on and on. Worst of all, they're not even good. After rewatching the show, I realized that the most popular songs were either the short songs or the more extravagant numbers. Rule number 3. They have to have movement. I don't just mean singing and dancing, but it also means good visuals. As I stated before, the more extravagant songs were the more memorable ones. The song called Nowhere to Go, Nothing to Do is a perfect example. This song is about a community of homeless people who are being run out of the area by the cops. It's a large dance number that even ends with an emotional line. Rule number 4, and the most important one of all, there must be a reason for the musical numbers. Musicals, and especially filmed musicals, require a method for the audience to accept such a weird concept as people breaking out into song. There are different ways to do this. It could be straightforward, like Glee, where the musicals happen in Glee practice, auditions, or competitions. You could go the route of the movie version of Chicago, or Zoe's Playlist, where all the musical numbers take place in the main character's brain. But the most common is when a character is expressing a strong emotion. Cop Rock does none of this, or at best, is not consistent. These characters sing about anything. It's completely random. Sometimes you have characters singing because they're in despair, but then you have them singing in a police lineup, or envying rich people. All it does is confuse the audience, and prevents them from making any connection to these characters. It's not a parody because it takes itself too seriously. And that's weird because some of the best songs are the ones which are parody-based. My favorite one is Hes Guilty, where Quark from Deep Space Nine and one of the main characters from the show sway the jury to convict a drug dealer.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
Hit it.
You could see it in his eyes. He did the crime and now he's gotta pay. He's guilty, Judge, he's guilty. We have seen through all his lies. The time has come to put this boy away. I want to make it clear. I want to thank the jury. And I'd like to thank my wife.
Can you believe that the judge here is played by Judas from Jesus Christ Superstar? It's so awesome. This song is so memorable because of the visuals. And I think some of the other songs are filmed very cleverly. It's incredibly creative. Another favorite song that I had stuck in my head for days was an insane little ditty about human trafficking called Baby Merchant. It's now become very popular thanks to a joke from Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Why was this song written? Who knows, but it's very catchy.
I'm not concerned with any trumped up illegality. We're just one big happy family. It's a pleasure doing business the American way. I'm the baby merchant, tots are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I'll have your baby for you.
Even the opening intro of this show is bizarre, where Randy Newman is playing the theme for the rest of the cast. I'm still trying to figure this out. Are these the actors? Or have the characters somehow wandered into a studio where Randy Newman happened to be playing? If it's the actors, why does one of them have a gym bag? Did he ever make it to the gym? Are they pretending to like the song? Do they like it? Were they forced to be here? What is this man doing? Because it sure as hell isn't dancing. After researching the show, I learned why the show had this problem. The writers and songwriters wrote separately, and it's obvious that there was a communication breakdown. The screenwriters would just instruct the songwriters to write songs about particular moments. The problem is that they had no idea why a song in that scene wouldn't work, since they had no experience in musicals. It's a shame because I found myself chuckling in the most inappropriate moments on this show. For example, there's a song that's played when some mothers see a young boy's body after tragically being caught between two gangs. I should feel sadness when they begin to sing, but all I wound up doing was laughing. This should not happen. The show's tone is all over the place. And I'm not just talking about the songs. One of the characters is the chief of police, who is obsessed with westerns. Now, in any other show, I would go, okay, that's quirky. But on this show, it just becomes insane when it's revealed that he has a freaking robot for target practice in his office. I swear, I have never seen a show that has made me say, what the am I watching? So much. And I have seen the entirety of Riverdale. But the actors give it their all, and they do okay sometimes. While other times, they fail spectacularly. For example, when we see the death of the partner of Officer Franklin Rose, played by James McDaniel.
No! No! Don't die on me, man! No! No! Someone help me! Someone help!
One of the worst parts of this show was the story. Other than the main one about the vigilante murder of a drug dealer, we have one from the mayor and another one about a marriage. The one about the mayor, played by Bochco's wife at the time, Barbara Bosson, is of her trying to run for governor. She has a consultation with her political advisors, who remind me of...
Contrary, we're merely acting as brokers for a client in return for a percentage of the gross. We've done nothing illegal. Cobra's money is as good as anyone's. In fact, these days it's better.
Both of whom introduce some interesting knowledge on her.
We ran more than a dozen focus groups, Your Honor. Each of them viewed footage of your press conferences, your speeches, as well as your more informal public appearances.
What was their reaction?
That you were the ugliest woman they ever saw.
Man, that's gotta hurt. I feel worse for her assistant when she asked him for his opinion.
Ray, I want a simple yes or no. Am I pretty?
It's a trap!
Then there's the second storyline revolving around a husband and wife. The aspect of their relationship that's shoved into the audience's faces is their age difference. Throughout the show, it's about her husband, or as other people have named him, Father Husband, becoming jealous of her younger partner. It's such a cliche, and worst of all, boring. Oh wow, he's old, and she's young. How interesting. So stupid. Even before the show aired, critics were saying how much of a disaster this show was. After people satisfied their curiosity by watching the pilot, the show's ratings sank like a stone. The network tried to save the series by conducting focus groups, but all they learned was that the minute a song number began, the viewers would change the channel. ABC tried to convince Bochco to remove, or at least reduce the number of songs on the show, but he wouldn't budge. So ABC pulled the plug, and it ended on the 11th episode. This is probably the most bizarre last episode of a TV show that I have ever seen. It ends with the rogue cop being acquitted and reinstated. He gets punched by his former partner, and then the chief of police and his second in command are talking about how much it sucks that this show just got cancelled. This is when, wait for it, the entire cast walks into the room and begins to sing about how it's not over until the fat lady sings. And an overweight woman comes down from the ceiling to sing the end of the song. I assure you, I am not on drugs. This actually happened on TV. This is when you begin to doubt your sanity, because your brain is trying to grasp what exactly it's watching. Anyway, that was Cop Rock. Now, should the show come back?
I mean, you don't have to laugh. I can't be the first person to ask that question.
Yeah, there is no world out there in the multiverse that could ever have this show on the air. I could say that it could be a parody, but even that is a stretch. But even though Cop Rock was a failure, it was an impressive one. As I said before, they had to write 5 original songs per episode. And incredibly, they were able to pull that off. Were all the songs good? No, but not many people could do that. The visuals were great at times, and I have to give them this. They did take a risk. They experimented to create something different. Even though it blew up in their face, at least they had the balls to try. If you're curious and want to watch the show, the entire series is on YouTube, although the quality is not good. If you're willing to shell out the cash for Cop Rock, Shout Factory has released it on DVD. It's not that expensive, and it's even got an interview with Mr. Bochco on it. I would say that if you're curious, you should give it a watch, but if you do, get ready to sit back and watch something truly bizarre. However, if the police knock on your door and begin to sing, ask for your phone call. Just make sure it's not out to a dancing lawyer. I'm Jesse Shade, speaking on behalf of Dave Arroyo for JoBlo.com, and thanks again for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the JoBlo Originals channel. Tell all your friends who like this sort of content, and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all our latest videos. We are an independent company that appreciates all of your support, and we will see you next time for the next episode of Gone, But Not Forgotten.